Of the Federalist, a Fox News contributor and co-author of the new book, Justice on Trial, The Kavanaugh Confirmation and the Future of the Supreme Court. Beverly Hallberg, president of District Media, and Philippe Reines, former State Department official under Hillary Clinton. Molly, the media's condemnation of the president's tweets has been deafening. Even some conservative commentators saying his language went too far. Are they right?
Well, what would be nice would be to have media actually just cover what was said. They are clearly very upset about this, but this seems to be a debate that Donald Trump wants to have. He's been highlighting what he views as the un-American nature of some of these women's argument. I think what we're seeing is kind of a shaping up of the 2020 debate. You have Democrats who are worried about their loosening grip on minority voters, trying to focus on allegations of racism, and you have the Republicans trying to portray Democratic politicians as being too sympathetic to terrorists, too supportive of socialism, too extreme in their politics. And so this is just a perfect story where you can highlight those divisions, but it would be nice to have the media not take overt sides. And there's no question that they're siding and advancing Democratic arguments.
On that point, I'll come back to it. You're certainly right about the president wanting this debate because he has stoked it all week. Philippe, for all the media denunciations of the president's comments, attacks against these four women as racist, are they playing into Trump hands and making this the only story that has utterly dominated discourse here in Washington?
Well, I don't think you can say on the one hand that they might be playing into his hands, on the other hand that they are playing it up. They don't really believe it. I agree with Molly.
Everybody's saying they don't really believe it.
It's the heat getting to me. I'm hearing things. I agree with Molly that the president sees this as beneficial to his reelection campaign, setting aside whether I agree with that or not, or whether even his own people in his own party agree with that. There's an interesting dynamic that kicks in here every time Donald Trump says something controversial, because I remember 2016 where he ran on a lot of things. One of them is, I'm going to tell you like it is. You're not going to like it. It's going to be politically incorrect, but I'm going to say it. Mm-hmm. Yet, in 2.5 years, I don't remember a single time where we've been sitting on this panel or any panel on Fox where someone says, hell yeah, he meant it exactly how you take it. There always seems to be this backing away, this sort of excusing him when he said it. And very clearly, he didn't tell Dick Durbin, senator of Illinois, white senator of Illinois, to go home. He didn't tell Beto O'Rourke to go home. He didn't even tell Hillary Clinton to go home. It is not a coincidence that these four women are women of color.
I hear you on that. It also led to a Democratic impeachment resolution that had to be tabled by the House, as well as a House vote to condemn the tweets. Beverly, for all of these media explosions over Trump's controversial comments, going back to the campaign, he'll never survive this, it's now over, he's gone too far this time. I don't think I've ever seen this intensity of media outrage.
And I don't think the story is going to go away anytime soon. It lasted a full week because they also continue to talk about it. You even had a press conference by the four congresswomen. But one of the players in this, or a group of players I think we need to consider, is the GOP in general. So I don't think this necessarily hurts Trump with his base. We'll have to wait and see what happens with swing voters. But what happened where the GOP members, they had to give an answer or give a comment about these tweets when they thought it was going to be a slower news cycle for them. And silence shows agreement. So they were in a very hard position knowing that the media were going to be pressing them on this.
Right. Molly, to underscore your point, President tweeting this morning about the four Democratic congresswomen, I don't believe they're capable of loving our country. But here's a tweet from Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman, saying, Trump wants every black/brown person deported and Muslims banned. So my question is, in now pivoting away from go back to where you came from to their language and Omar's history of anti-Semitic comments, has the president actually shifted the media spotlight to something that he thinks helps him?
I think so, and I think actually this is where he tried to go. Like in March, he was speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference, and he said there are people in the Democratic Party who don't love their country. And I thought it was a pretty extreme thing to say. Nobody in the media bit on it. So he keeps on peppering his speeches with things like this until he personalized it and went too far, as he always does. Then people start talking about it, and then he's able to go back to the original point that he wanted to be making.
Here's a New York Times story, Philippe. America stinks is the beginning. At least that's what Donald Trump seemed to be saying before becoming president. He talks about how he called the country a laughingstock when he was a private businessman. In his inaugural address, he talked about American carnage. So the question is, while some Democrats have clearly used excessive rhetoric, I'm thinking of AOC calling the border facilities concentration camps, the media are now saying, hey, Donald Trump, both as president and before, has also complained an awful lot about America.
Hopefully there are no Democrats watching right now on live television. I don't agree with that. I think he was speaking rhetorically about criticizing his predecessors, seeing things differently. I don't think he wasn't attacking America in the way he is accusing others of attacking America. I'm not letting him off the hook, but I do think that that's a false equivalency.
My take would be that all politicians criticize at one point or another. That's how they get elected. That's how they stay in office. So the media now are saying that Trump is demonizing dissent by these members of Congress. And again, I don't let them off the hook. I don't like a lot of the anti-Semitic comments that Omar has made. I think sometimes they go too far. But because they disagree with him, he is now saying they hate America.
Well, I hope it leads to a thorough conversation. Both these congresswomen and the president have said that they want to debate ideas now. Are we really going to get there? And that's my hope. What I find is fascinating about this is that the press conference that was held, what you heard the congresswoman talk about was not wanting to take the bait of the president, saying we're not going to delve into this, but they are using this to their own advantage. It is unheard of to have 4 freshman members of Congress have this type of coverage, and that is because their use of Twitter and also playing off the president.
They do have the social media platforms. And by the way, they have no power in the House. They're freshmen. It's the way it works, but they have a lot of media power. But I would also say, aren't they entitled to hit back against the president's criticism?
They have complete power in the House, though. They are able, like when Nancy Pelosi tried to actually separate herself from them just a week ago, with the huge assistance of Donald Trump, they are now stuck together at the hip. This idea, though, that all dissent is equivalent I don't think that's going to go over well with people. If you sat these women down and talked about America's founding and America's role in the world over the last 250 years, they would have a very different idea than a lot of other Americans. And that's the thing that Donald Trump is trying to highlight, whether they actually even believe in the American project, whether they believe in the founding.
But the idea that all voices are equivalent is also false. The idea that Donald Trump, as president of the United States, and the bullhorn and the bully pulpit that he owns is in any way the equivalent of even the 4 most senior members of Congress is false. He could end this. He initiated it. He could end it. These are choices he's making.
I agree with that.
I actually
think that's true, and you want to have your president speak well. It is also true that he's been the target of unbelievable rhetoric from people on the left, everyone on the left, everyone in the media, calling him a traitor, which is a crime punishable by death. That's very extreme rhetoric. There's also this issue that for many years, Republicans have had their policy differences with Democrats called racist, and I think Republicans are absolutely sick of that being this lazy charge that anytime you disagree about border security or immigration policy or any other issue, economic or otherwise, that it's
Congress
racist.
Calls Donald Trump a traitor, there's really not much they can do about it. When Donald Trump calls a member of Congress or any human being a traitor, he's in charge of a multi-million person government, many of whom react to his comments. Maybe they overreact to his comments.
I got to jump in here. Just to clarify, I was saying that these 4 freshmen, they can't bring a bill to the floor. They don't chair any committees, power in that sense in the institution. All right.